Hello and welcome to the Printable Cuttable Creatables YouTube channel. My name is Lynn and today I am going to show you how to make a custom button pin. These are really fun, easy projects to create, and if you're not already familiar, this right here is the WRMK's button press. And when you get this, it does come included with some samples of buttons that you can create. Now this one that I do have is the large size, which is a different size. Well, it depends on the bundle that you buy. It may come included or it may be a separate purchase. The first step to this is to actually cut the design that you want your button to be. And so you'll need these sets of plates. There's a base, and then this is the top portion, and if you click this in the right location, there will be a magnet that actually holds it up there. So that's going to stick firm to the top. And I've already designed and printed out some really cute buttons that I thought would be really fun. This is a Stay Weird, and then I also combined it with Cute Alien. These are SVGs that you can get on the Printable Cuttable Creatables website. And you can always mix and match designs like these. When you have the SVGs, you can kind of bring them in and merge a couple different designs and create whatever you'd like. Now, the first step is to actually cut this out. Now, when you buy your buttons, there has to be a specific set of accessories that will allow you to make it. So this is for the large button. And this first piece here is the piece that will cut out your design so that it's exactly the right size and shape to fit around the top of the button. And I definitely recommend getting all of your supplies from the same brand. That way you know everything will fit, everything will work. Now this, don't push down on that black side because there's a blade that is embedded in there. That's the cutting blade. If you look through this aperture here, that gives you a preview of what your button will look like. So make sure that whatever your design is, that it's positioned where you'd like to see it on the final button. Now I've created myself a little template in Photoshop, and what I set up my file to look like in Photoshop is I actually took the size of this acetate piece here, which I'll get to in a moment how that gets used, but it does come with your button supplies. And I just drew a circle that's just a little bit larger than that piece of acetate, because essentially what's going to happen is the die that I showed you earlier, that will cut out a piece of your design that's exactly the same size as the acetate. So when I create my template, I just give myself a little bit of wiggle room so that I have a little bit of extra paper. I don't have to fit this on exactly. And then I can trim down my paper, and I actually have a second circle that I don't print. It's just for reference because that's the exact size of the button. That way I can kind of shrink my design so that it's sure to actually fit on the button, the visible area of the button. And you could do a full bleed design too if you wanted, and that way you can have the design actually run off the edge of your button. So whatever you'd like to do, but the idea is to make sure that when you go to cut it, that your design is nicely centered. Now all you need to do is just swing this base back under the top plate. And the button press has a lever at the top, and that lever controls the bringing down the top plate. So you want to pull, or I should say push the lever down and give it some even firm pressure until you'll even hear some crackling. And if it doesn't cut through all the way, like for instance, this first one, it hasn't cut through all the way for a small portion of the circle here, but that's okay because I see that it did leave an impression, so I'm just going to cut along that line. And in any case, the edge of this paper will wrap around to the underside of the button. So it doesn't have to be a perfect cut. Don't stress over that being absolutely perfect. But if that does happen to you, then all you want to do is for the next button that you create, just center this again. And now that I know that that first one, there wasn't quite enough pressure to cut all the way through, when I go to pull down on the lever this time, I am going to give it just a little bit of extra pressure, and I'm listening for it to kind of crackle. That means that it's cutting through the paper, and there you have it, that cut through perfectly. So it's a little bit of a trial and error. You don't really need to put your whole body weight into it, so don't worry about the amount of pressure too much. You can always adjust, especially if you're making more than one. Okay, so now to actually assemble the button, we need to actually switch out our plates, because every single button size and shape has a specific plate setting that you need to use in order to essentially combine all these separate pieces that the button comes in and bring them all together. Now the base here will have an A and an arrow and a B and an arrow, and you want to make sure that that points to the triangles or the arrows that are on the button maker or the button press itself. Same goes for the top. So again, the top has a magnet that once you fit it in the right location, it will hold that top plate to the top of your button press. And you do want to make sure that just like the bottom, there's an arrow, but see how that arrow doesn't actually point to A or B? I don't have that in the right spot. So what I need to do is take this out and then rotate it until it actually will fit back in, and where there's that line with the triangle that's on the base of the button maker, I want to make sure that that will line up with the top plate here, and that I can rotate between A and B. Now it's in the right place. So you always want to make sure that all of your arrows will line up. And when we do this, there's going to be two stages to it, A and B. So if we're working on stage A, we want to make sure everything lines up and everything reads A, all the arrows, all the triangles, all of that lines up from top to the base. Okay, so the first stage is to actually attach our design to the top of the button. So this is the top of the button, this is the back of the button, and you can see the back has the pin here. So we also need this bit of acetate, which I showed earlier, that does come included when you buy a set of the buttons, the button blanks. So the button blanks come in these three pieces: the button top, the back with the pin, and the bit of acetate. Okay, so now I've got this button here, and the base actually will allow you to nestle this right in. You can see it's exact right size. And when we go to put our design on here, there's a little bit of a sandwich we're creating, but on the base itself, like there's a groove, an actual groove that's carved into or molded really into the plastic, and it's on both the left side and the right side. And what that groove is for is as a reference so that you know how to line this up so that your design is oriented correctly from top to the back of the button pin, and we'll get to that when we enter the next stage. But what basically you want to do is the groove marks your left and your right. So you want to rotate your design so that everything is level, left to right, top to bottom. It looks the way that you want it to look, because this is going to allow us to then later, when we go to attach the pin, that everything will read correctly. Then you want to put your bit of clear acetate right on top, You can see everything is the exact right size because that first phase where we cut out the design, it cut it to the precise size that it needs to be. And then I'm going to firmly pull down on the lever, give it nice firm pressure, and when I swing this back open again, you're going to notice that actually the button has disappeared. But that's really because it got pushed into the upper plate, and that upper plate is now holding it for us until we get to the next step. And the next step is to actually put the back of the button into the base. Now, I recall that the assembly part of this is in 2 stages. We just got finished with the A stage, and now we need to rotate everything. Rotate the top so that it's lined up with B, rotate the bottom so it's lined up with B. And when you do that, you're going to see that the inside plastic also has grooves, and now those 2 grooves will line up with each other. And that gives you a reference for how to line up the pin that's on the back here. So you want to make sure that this pin is level with those grooves and that the actual pin closure is downward facing. This needs to be downward facing. And you want to just rotate this until it's lined up correctly. So basically what's going to happen is we're assembling it this way. We're going to attach the back of the button pin to the top of the button pin like this, and our design and the acetate, it's already wrapped around the top, and that's what's going to make this a nice firm closure because of that extra thickness of the paper and the acetate. When this gets pushed into the button top, it's all going to hold everything in place. So I'm going to swing that back over, make sure we've got B lined up everywhere, and then again pull down on the lever and give it nice firm pressure. And I like to just hold it for a little bit at the bottom there, really make sure that it's got good even pressure. Don't go super fast. You can go slow with this. Just make sure that it's nice firm pressure, and voila. There you have it, a custom button pin. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Be sure to check out the blog post on the Printable Cuttable Creatables website, and you'll see the other designs that I created to go along with these. Thanks again. If you like this video, do hit the like button and subscribe to see more videos from other members of the design team. Until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.